Hello everyone, and welcome to week 8 of our Creative Collab Crew challenges. This week was a technique challenge, and so I am going to show you my version of masking that I picked. Again, I'm Emily Kimmy with EMK Creations, and this week for the challenge we picked masking, and you'll see if you watch each of our videos we all had a different take on it, which we thought was pretty cool because there are so many different ways to do masking. The other two both used our amazing masking paper. I chose to use these type of masks. So I'm just going to walk you through kind of how I did this and some tips and tricks that I've discovered, and talk to you about some of the products. So we have this great linked together bundle, has some awesome dies in it and stamp set, and then it also has a set of masks. There's actually 5 different ones, and the thing I love about our masks, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see, but if you can, they are numbered. So 1 through 5, I'm only using 1, 4, and 5 today, but each one is numbered so you can go in order. We also have ones, I can show you a preview of one that will be one of our online exclusives next month, which is actually a flower set. So each one you get a little bit more of the aspects of it, if you will. So each time you're kind of adding a different layer. So that kind of shows you again 1 through 5. I'm only going to use a few of them this time, but I'm going to walk you through how I did this. I used the first one first and put it down. I decided to use Pool Party, and the thing is, for the first 2 layers I'm using Pool Party for both of them, but because you're going to go from this wide design to one that's going to cover up part of it, that part that's still going to show through is going to get darker because you're going to add a second layer to it. I'm using 2 of our bigger blending brushes. The small ones would work as well. The other thing I would always suggest, if you can, if you're going to be doing these over and over again and you need them to layer and you're not going to be able to tell exactly where they should be, you can again use grid paper and make sure you pick a spot so you would always know where to put it back. This one's pretty easy because you can tell when I go to line them up. You'll be able to see the lines on them. When I use blending brushes, if you haven't used them before, I always recommend that you start off to the side because they tend to give you a kind of a big splotch at first. And you are going to want to press fairly hard to get that ink on there, and I may even need to re-ink my ink pad. And I chose to do it just in corners. I didn't do it over the entire piece. I just did it in my corners because again, I kind of like that look. But you're going to just keep adding your ink to the areas that you want to do. In a second I'll pull this up and show you, but I'm gonna add a little bit more up here. All right, so now you can see that's what it did. So it works as a stencil basically. This type of masking is using a stencil. So then I'm going to take this one, and like I said, you'll be able to see how they line up. And now I'm just going to keep adding more. And so it'll get darker in the areas where I'm applying ink again and stay lighter where we've covered it. So I'm just going to keep adding my ink. And there's no right or wrong. You just want to play with it. I always say don't overthink, just do it. It's only paper. So there you can see the division. See how we have 2 different colors there. And then I used Smoky Slate to add this little dot design, if you will. So again, I'm going to line up, and once again you can see through there. I don't know how well it's going to show on the camera, but if you're looking up close you'll be able to see how to put them right in the middle of those areas. So now I'm going to grab gray to add that dot pattern. So same thing though, and you could tape this down. Because of me only doing part of it, I wasn't worried about getting too much ink on myself or having it move too much because I was able to hold it. So I did not tape it down, but sometimes it can be nice to just use some tape and hold it in place. Our glass mat is great for that because you can do it directly on there if you wanted to. So again, I'm gonna press kind of hard to make sure it gets through those little dots. And let's see what we got. There we go. So there's how I did that background. So you can see, here's the one I had done before, and here's this one. So the rest of the products that I used, I did use some of our pretty basic beige ribbon. Oh, and I should have mentioned, this is basic beige. So this was the new kind of staple color we added this year to our lineup. So we have basic white, basic black, and now we have basic beige, which I like because again, it just kind of gives it a nice, it's a subtle color, still different than vanilla, but a good base. All right, so I tied a little ribbon. I'm gonna trim this up a little bit so it's a little more even. All right, and then next what I'm gonna show you is one of our hybrid dies. This is the Seaside Wishes. I also have the stamp set here that goes with it. So this is one of our hybrid dies. If you have not seen these before, this allows you to emboss and die cut all at once. So I was able to run this through my Stampin' Cut Emboss machine in one swoop together. So both the embossing folder and the die inside, so that it did both things at once. And now I have these great shapes. I have to admit, when I first got it, I was like, is that really gonna go through? Is that gonna break something? But it does not. This, it almost snaps in place. It's not really snapping, but it fits in there perfectly. Just kind of, you'll know when it's in right there in that groove. And then you can put your paper in there, close it up, and run it through your machine. And then you get these fun shapes. You also can run just the embossing folder through, and then you would have had these stay on there and not be cut out. So it's great that you have so many uses for it, different ways you can do it. All right, so then I just added these to the front of my card. And this one I went ahead and glued down. I glued both of these down, and then I did pop up my words here in a second when I go to do those. So just like that. And then here is my card base. So we'll get ready to add that. And instead of a 4 by 5 1/4 card front piece, if you will, I did 3 3/4 by 5. So I gave it a little bit more room than I sometimes do when I'm putting, you know, a piece on piece. But I do always like the look of doing the same cardstock on top of each other, because it just adds a little bit something extra. All right, so we'll go ahead and put that down. And then I did my words in the smoky slate, and I stamped it on a scratch piece of paper, and then I actually cut them out, kind of trimmed around them and cut it out before I adhered it. So put this back up here, do some quick cutting. Again, not overthinking it, just doing a quick little job there. And then this is what I added some dimensionals to and popped it up. So let me grab those. And there we go. So here was my original sample. On this one I had added those great pearls to it. This one, obviously I don't have any handy with me right now, but each time you do it, it's gonna look a little bit different because it's gonna depend on exactly where you do your masking. But again, a different way to show you one option of masking using, I guess, what essentially you would also call a stencil. So I hope this inspired you. If you haven't tried these before, I love them. It's a great way to just add some, you know, texture, if you will, flat texture to your background. So check them out. We have lots of different options, and let us know what you've created. Again, we'll be sharing across all of our platforms, Kathy with Kathy's Stampin' World and Melissa with the Stamp Doc, and we hope that you will take these challenges and run with them and then share with us what you have made. So until next week, I will see you later. Thank you.